The success of Silksong proves one thing. We really don't hate the triple industry hard enough still. When Baldur's Gate 3 came out, the talentless developers said, "Oh no, this is a one-off thing. This is never going to happen again. We will never attempt to make something this big." Not that any of you ever honestly could. The multi-billion dollar industry development companies said, "Oh no, this is too much effort. We're not going to put in the money." The paid shill media said that never expect something like this because this is a 1 in a billion. And then came Silksong. And you know what's currently happening? It's the same stuff. It's the same excuses over again. It's the same talentless, probably Bethesda and Blizzard developers who are saying, "Oh no, we won't try to make something like this." Like you even can, you bunch of losers. And all of them are doing the same excuses. All of them are spouting the exact same lies. The AAA industry needs to just die off at this point and be completely replaced. Talentless, stagnant losers that are mostly vocal. So that's just, the cherry on top. Or maybe the cherry that actually started half of this garbage.
Industry. You have a lot of people talking about the hype, the anticipation surrounding Silksong, but people don't understand 2014, this game began development. It needed a Kickstarter to continue development. You had posts like this going up on the gaming subreddit, and this truly is inspiration to anybody trying to make it in this video game industry. You had people doubting it, not thinking, oh, another side scroller, it's another platformer, who's going to care about it? Hollow Knight has now sold 15 million copies, and Hollow Knight Silksong was the most highly anticipated indie game ever. I mean, I've heard people comparing it to Grand Theft Auto 6 levels of hype. They're calling it the G.
What? Did it actually have that much hype? Wow. Well, I mean, it's not even honestly close to GTA. Nothing can break GTA 6 at this point. It doesn't matter success or not, vote or not. Aliens could come and visit us. And unless they're blue-skinned hotties, I don't think people are going to care.
GTA of indies, and I would agree, it really has been that anticipated. And Team Cherry, the development team, which is just a couple of individuals, after announcing the sequel at a Nintendo Direct, years of silence until just this last couple weeks. They announced the game. It's coming out in 2 weeks. It's only going to cost $20, and it is already having a giant launch, and it's going to be up there in terms of, Game of the Year award contenders. It really is impressive, this development process and everything that has so far been accomplished by Team Cherry. But truthfully, the development, everything about this is just astonishing. Like, everybody assumed that there had to have been development chaos. Something's got to be going wrong, but it really wasn't that. A Bloomberg report came out and said, no, these guys were just taking their time. It's a really, really small team, and they wanted to make the best product.
One of the few games that can actually take the time and actually it being worth it. Insane.
They could, and so far the reviews have been glowing, and a lot of people are very much enjoying this experience. And yeah, it's just the
like, who cares about the reviews at this point? Who cares what some kind of IGN has to say? Word of mouth is stronger than any shill news media site out there. It's not even close. I would take the words of my favorite fentanyl addict over the words of IGN pretty much every time.
Anticipation has been so high that we had all of the stores crashing that were selling this. Steam had issues getting this into people's hands, PlayStation as well. Guess that is one of the downfalls with not having pre-orders and such, but very much so. I don't think any of these platforms were ready for this massive of a launch. And yeah, launching to 530,000 players on Steam, one of the most highly played games in terms of concurrent players on the platform. It truly is impressive. And yeah, in the last week or two, we have seen...
Oh, actually, let's check. This is the second day, and it's about midday, so people are waking up. SteamDB Silksong. Let's see what we are seeing here. Wait a minute. Let us switch the thing so you can see it. Okay. Now you can see it. So, currently, 504,000 people. New player peak of 562,814. And I mean, the day has just started, by the way. Again, it's 12 UCT, which means it's roughly midday, well, 12 p.m. for Americans in Europe. So that means for America, it's somewhere around like 1 a.m. maybe? Depends on your position, but it can be easily between 1 and 3 a.m. For at least probably most of you watching. So that is insane. These numbers, look at this. My oh my. This was 111,000 players instantly in the first hour of the game. Damn, this is impressive. And the best part is, when there's two situations typically that happen for games like this that we need to account for. That are proven pretty much always right. That's why I'm so good at predicting numbers for most games. And that is, hype matters nowadays a lot, okay? Pretty much everything nowadays is sadly hype, which is not the best thing, but we deal with it. And when you have this highly anticipated games, there are people who are gonna buy this and not play it for like a year, a couple of months. They're just gonna buy it and put it in their library, maybe favorite it, so they remember to play it maybe in a year. So, typically, on average, you just take the peak amount of players, add a 0, and that's roughly your sales number on Steam. Roughly. Plus minus up to 15% based on that. If the word of mouth is really bad, then you can easily minus up to 50% of that. 50% is a little bit steep, but still. Or you can plus 50% to that. And this is Steam. This is just one platform. Because Hollow Knight is going to be one of those rare exceptions where I actually say that the Microsoft Xbox Store sales actually could matter. I tried to find the Xbox sales store sales for Silksong yesterday. We couldn't. Gonna try it a little bit later on today. Maybe we actually finally see something. But Silksong could be actually one of those rare situations where Steam is it's still the biggest, but it's not like it completely just overshadows Xbox and PlayStation. So Silksong's sales are beyond ridiculous at this point. This thing is selling like hotcakes. This thing probably by the end of the month could be well on its way to 15, maybe surpassing even 15 million sales easily. By the end of the month. It's gonna be insane. This is kind of almost the second coming of Baldur's Gate.
And all sorts of indie games, just everybody getting out of the way of Silksong. Very much so, this is a behemoth. And yeah, Demon Skull got Silksong, that's what people are calling it, delayed to November 19th, 2025. I believe that was a PlayStation 5 indie experience. We had another game, No, I'm Not a Human. We also had Ubisoft chiming in with their own Prince of Persia experience. They were trying to call it indie scale. I think they were trying to jump on the coattails of Silksong, everybody talking about the indie.
Oh, shut up, Prince of Persia. This garbage, by the way, this garbage was 200 million. This 2D side no, is this the same one? I'm not sure. But one of the side-scrolling Prince of Persia games of the modern era cost 200 million to make. I'm not even joking. And it sold, I don't remember the copies, but it roughly sold in the ballpark of making 20 million. Yes. Fuck Ubisoft.
Indie game development movement, and a lot of people are rightfully criticizing even the community note of this X post. Ubisoft is the publisher and IP holder, which means it's backed by a major AAA company and therefore not an indie game. Although in the comment section they were trying to argue that no, this is an indie game. I don't know what Ubisoft was doing here, but the Ubisoft gonna Ubisoft, and like I said, that is the one of the biggest European gaming companies around. So very.
I am from Europe, and I speak for everyone when I say we don't care about Ubisoft, okay?
Interesting, they're trying to say that, yeah, we're actually an indie developer, we're making indie games, but very much so, it is not all positive, because Silksong has come under fire for a number of reasons. The first one was the release date, the fact that They did not have this massive marketing campaign. They didn't give, advanced time for any developers to move their games out of the way. It was, we're launching the game in 2 weeks. Other developers make moves if you have to. And a lot of people were very much unhappy about that. We had one account saying, I can't be the only person who thinks it's kind of effed up for Silksong to reveal its release date so late. Like, man, you're indie developers. You should understand the struggle that studios go through. We had one account saying, by the way, Team Cherry absolutely had the responsibility of giving a heads up about the release of Silksong and accommodating other indie devs in regards to it. Art isn't made in a vacuum, and as indie devs, they absolutely should know how hard it is for other indie devs to be visible. For them to just randomly say it's coming out in 2 weeks without any prep for it, while being completely ambiguous and hazy about any details about the release date and the lead up to that announcement, is completely...
Silksong is on Game Pass. Boys, I finally found it on Xbox Live. Okay? While Legend was yapping, I was checking it. Look at this. Look at this absolute disaster. This is the Microsoft.com EU US store. New games Xbox. New. Look at this. Look at this. Stylish girl. Some fucking NHL thing. Soulbind. Looks cool. Maybe I'll look into that. Chronos, which I have not looked into it, but people have been asking me for my opinion on that, so I will check what that actually is. And look at this, Silksong is all the way here. So it's actually here. It's actually here. Look at this. It's Game Pass included with Game Pass. It's new. And when you click on most played, there be Silksong. It's not here. It is not here. Look at that. Fort Slop, Row PDF, Call of Nicki Minaj, minor slavery, and Tom Clancy's Gay Siege. That's the top 5, boys. All absolute slop fiestas. And Grand Theft, this is my second job now, auto. Okay, and based Helldivers right there. Okay? It's not here. It's not here. And by the way, I already checked the second. Silksong is not here. Maybe it's in the third. Let's actually check the third. It wasn't in the second. Based Fallout New Vegas. Very cool. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh no, it's a disaster. Hey, listen. Assassin's Creed Shadows at least was in the top sales list day one. I mean, it was like ranked 30-ish or 40-ish day one on Xbox with fucking Game Pass and shit, but at least was there. Silksong is not even here, which means, dude, that is actually really insane. Terraria is a great game. If you haven't played it, you should. But yeah, it's also not in the second page because I already scrolled through it. I'm just gonna quickly scroll through it again in case, you think I'm messing with you. I'm not. So wow, it's not even there. It's not even there. That is insane. Life is Strange based. This is the best lesbian simulator anyone has ever played. Okay, I will die on this hill. By the way. But yeah, wait, maybe this is not actually a situation where Silksong is gonna be popular on these alternative non-PC, non-based loser platforms. It kind of makes me feel like that's the case because I expected them to do better. People were talking about it a lot on other platforms and not in the typical, oh, Xbox the best, no, PlayStation the best way. So maybe we need to readjust. Okay, so yeah. 10 million sales by the end of the day, end of the month. Yeah, that's probably doable, but 15 is gonna be a reach now, unless something massive happens, like the shill media is gonna push this out and say, oh, it's garbage, and then everyone's gonna be, IGN says this is bad. Well, I guess I'll buy it then.
Effing shitty of them. They absolutely should have had consideration for their peers, and I guess the insinuation that these individuals are making is that Silksong is a behemoth and nobody's going to have any interest in any other indie games with this game coming out. I just don't really believe that. I think really there's a missing part of this equation that's going to become more noticeable with the other topic that we're about to get over, but it's really the fact that Silksong is bringing in more people to this indie space, more people getting involved and interested into these like platformers, 2D platformers, Metroidvanias that would not be interested in this without a game like Silksong setting a standard. And I really do think that hype and anticipation is going to pay off for so many other development teams, get so many more eyes on this genre, period. And that is a good thing for everybody involved, especially indie developers. Now, we had another account saying, again, parroting what those other individuals said, I think Silksong's 2-week PR push has done some damage to other indie studios. I don't think Team Cherry thought about the impact the game would have on other indies and their marketing. Maybe not.
Oh, shut up.
Because I think they were
oh no, this game is too good. Because it's too good now, people are going to demand higher quality from everyone else. Shut up.
Starting really on trying to make the best.
I have absolutely no problem with like 99.9% of studios shutting down if the quality of games is even increased just by 30%. Literally zero problems with this
product that they could. They were concentrating on themselves, which people will view that as selfish, but I think these are just individuals that really care about their product and making it as great as they can. Now, I think that's a bummer that I hope is not replicated, to be honest. But very much so, I think a lot of this just reminds me about what happened with Baldur's Gate 3 2 years ago. You had, I wouldn't say it was a, this small indie game, but Larian Studios isn't this household name that they are now.
Larian was a AA game developer, not AAA by any means.
Now, they kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. Everybody started getting excited for what Baldur's Gate 3 represented, and immediately we had a lot of game developers coming out saying, let's put a pause on all of that. And this very much so is going to factor into this next part of this topic, and it is the price point of $20. A lot of developers are pissed about that. The way that, developers...
Good. Again, I told you, I am not willing... Listen, I told you, I am not willing to pay more than $30 for any game that's AAA, okay? AAA needs to understand, either they're gonna go down to $20, $30 a pop, or go fuck yourself. You're already saturated with microtransactions and bullshit. Do you think I'm gonna pay $70 to be just assaulted by, please buy our overpriced $100 mount skins? No. Absolutely not. What do you mean?
Back to Baldur's Gate 3, its scope, the fact that it had so many cutscenes, voice lines, and all this stuff that used to be an old standard for the RPG genre. You had developers calling it Rockstar level nonsense for scope. You have people pretty much saying with Silksong, with it only costing $20, what it does for indie developers, it's pretty much Rockstar level nonsense for price. That is the way that a lot of indie developers are approaching this, and we've seen a number of articles coming about talking about this. But I think there's two parts of this equation. There's two sides of this coin, because the first side that I immediately thought, I wasn't even thinking about this negatively impacting indie, because I really don't think that's in the long run that's what this is going to have. I think that this is really something that's going to maybe put the AAA games industry in check. That's the impact that I see from this. When you
in check? Nah, they're gonna spiral. They're already in a dead spiral. They're just gonna fight against this. They're gonna denounce it. They're gonna say this is lies. This is not actually that good, and things like that. It's not gonna be even close.
See so many of these, AAA publishers, whether it be Electronic Arts, Nintendo, Take-Two Interactive, talking about the possibilities of variable pricing, talking about, maybe $80, $100 for their upcoming games. When you have indie experiences that are as delightful as this, capturing so many different players, so much audiences. I mean, 15 million copies were sold with Hollow Knight, the original installment. This sequel is probably going to sell much more. It keeps the AAA games industry in check, because it means that they can't get away with selling all these games when you have competitors, big competitors like Hollow Knight selling the game for only $20. Expedition 33, maybe going to win a lot of Game of the Year awards later on this year.
Definitely will.
As well. That's only being sold for, I think it was $50. And even Helldivers too. A lot of people think that was like PlayStation-owned studios, but Arrowhead is independent, and I think
yeah, Arrowhead is just leasing the Helldivers IP.
I'm pretty sure that was only sold for about 40 or 50 as well. Those are important experiences. Those hold this gaming industry in check. And when Hollow Knight Silksong the most highly anticipated indie game, maybe of all time, is only being sold for $20, that is a very important moment for the AAA games industry to put a pause on their fucking greed. And I really do think that that impact will be felt for the next couple of years to come, especially with more indie games on the way that will continue those price points, because it's not like Hollow Knight or even Expedition are the sole examples of this, or even Helldivers. You have games like
You know what's my favorite part about this? AAA could be absolutely stomping this. But the reality is, they're just woke. At the end of the day, the wokeness has completely killed all creativity. What the hell do you want these developers to make when you completely neuter what they can even talk about? They're just not going to make anything. And when you need to make this alleviated and whatnot, you know, and when I say this, I mean probably women or blacks. So, you know, you're not going to make anything good surrounding that when you have these forced things that need to be one done and a huge list of things that cannot be mentioned, even. Oh, and a list of things that need to also be properly glorified. There's no creativity in that. AAA has all that it needs to absolutely, you know, put Hollow Knight to shame, honestly. To put Expedition 33 to shame. To put, well, Baldur's Gate 3 to shame. Expedition 33, not 3. And Baldur's Gate 3 to shame. But they're never gonna achieve that because they're fundamentally woke. We are still struggling with this problem. I know a lot of people are not no longer talking about it, but it never went away. We kind of won for a moment, but no real change really happened. Xbox canceled a bunch of woke projects, but the stuff that they kept is still fucking garbage. DEI infested SGI score slop. It's disgusting.
You have games like Peak, you have games like Schedule 1, Manor Lords. Those are other, you know, massive indie experiences that have come about in the last year or two that will have that, you know, that hold on this industry moving forward. Palworld as well. But very much so, Hollow Knight, Silksong's impact on the AAA games industry, this is the way a lot of people thought about it as well. We had, you know, accounts like Nope Signal pointing out this meme, sorry for the decades-long delay, that will be $20, and then a meme about Grand Theft Auto 6. Please buy our game for $199. We spent the last 7 years carving the pores into Lucia's left ass cheek. Our employees miss the births of their own children, so
Good.
the mud texture on Crack Dealer 31 shoes look just right. Please give us $199. And yeah, that one has 130.
Hey, Crack Dealer 31 shoes do matter, okay? Hashtag Crack Dealers also. I'm joking, YouTube. I'm joking. Jesus.
3,000 likes on
Like the video before I get demonetized again.
Twitter. Another account, that's actually Sean Murray of No Man's Sky, the guy who sells so many different, well, he doesn't sell anything.
Dude, yeah, this guy is fucking insane. This is No Man's Sky, by the way. This guy is the epitome of this meme. Oh no, not again, No Man's Sky. A free update that adds so much content. Not again. Yeah, this guy is literally the embodiment of the meme.
I should say. He just gives constant free updates for No Man's Sky that really just blows my mind. Silksong for $19.99. No, Team Cherry, I have more money to pay you. Very much so. The reaction from a lot of individuals has been positive, but again, there is a flip side to all of this. We have accounts saying Silksong's 20.
The flip side doesn't fucking matter. I don't fucking give a shit. I don't give about your damn opinions. People who say that this is bad. Your opinions are fundamental weak-ass garbage. I hate the weak. If you're weak, you're a part of the problem. You allowed these things to happen. Oh no, think about the developers that put their heart, soul, sweats, and tears and fucking made Dragon Age the Veil God. Don't they deserve... No, they don't deserve respect. They deserve hatred.
$20 tag could hurt the indie scene, but only if devs let price anxiety win. We had Polygon saying the gaming industry deserved more lead time before Silksong. This is obviously in reference to the release date, and they had a very interesting last paragraph that I thought I would mention. It was the fact that they said, But in the years since Hollow Knight first broke indie game containment, arguably revitalizing an entire subgenre and not so arguably inspiring countless clones, not to mention literally millions of fans, Team Cherry attained great power. Now here's one for the class. What's the other half of that phrase? Obviously, this is pretty much criticizing them, saying that there was a responsibility with giving, more head time to the rest of the gaming industry, period.
That's so bullshit. This is why I am for indie development, but don't get me wrong. I'm not fucking blindly supporting these people because of exactly this type of shit. Because exactly this type of shit, in fact. Oh, look at that. Silksong did good. Well, that means bad things for us. Silksong, you should be cancelled. That's a lot of people's opinions, sadly. I don't think any of those people also deserve support. If I will never buy a game if I hear an indie developer say, "Oh, Silksong's success is actually bad for the industry." If you say that, I'm automatically not buying your shit. I'm not even pirating it.
And then Eurogamer ran a specific piece again on the price point. Is Hollow Knight Silksong's cheap price a problem for other indie games? Devs and publishers weigh up its impact. And the first developer within this article that chimed in was Tokana, the developer of successful and wonderful tile-laying puzzle game Dwarfromantik. I said that wrong.
No idea what
they delayed
that
the
is.
release of their new game Starbirds because of Silksong moving from September 4th to September 10th. And co-founder Zui Zok now tells me the game's as yet unannounced price has been affected too. Yes, Silksong's price has influenced our decision. We're trying not to compete too directly with Silksong, both in terms of release date and pricing. Of course, these are two very different games with potentially different player bases, but there's
I have been saying this forever, by the way. I'm not just randomly, by the way, saying the AAA slop should be maximum $30. There's actually a deeper reason, and that is because, dude, if I see a game for $20, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it way more freely than anything that costs 70. If something costs 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks, I am instantaneously thinking, is this actually a good money spent for me? Is this actually worth my time? And the answer mostly is no. But if a game is like $20 or $30, yeah, I can probably just buy that without too much thinking. If the, word of mouth is even reasonably good and I kind of like what I'm seeing, I can buy that for $20, no problem. A higher price is not always better.
definitely some overlap that makes things tricky, especially since Starbirds is a joint project between two studios together employing more people than Team Cherry, which I think Team Cherry is like less than 5 individuals, so still, this studio is probably not that much either. Mike Rose, founder of indie publishing No More Robots, says pricing is a fascinating and tricky thing to manage. He'd long been an advocate for higher prices, he tells me, because it leaves room for discounts and down pricing as game ages, but recently he adds, I think the economy of games has been shifting, and people who aren't actually releasing games don't see it or realize. People have less money now and are buying fewer games, so you have to set yourself up to hopefully be the one game they buy when they do have that money. And if you are at a higher price, it's now actually a bit off-putting. Budget co-op climbing sensation peak is a great example of things going the other way, he says. Part of the reason that game did so well was that crazy low price. It's definitely making us rethink the pricing of our upcoming games. And one game which shares a lot of similarities with Silksong is Citizen Sleeper 2. It's not because of the game's content. Citizen Sleeper 2 is a sci-fi role-playing game, but because both games were built on the extraordinary success of a predecessor, both are made by very small teams. Citizen Sleeper is just one developer with contracted art and soundtrack help, and both have very similar prices. In fact, the jump from the original game to the sequel is almost identical. This developer tells me there were extensive discussions about Citizen Sleeper 2's price, and it jumped from around 16,
So what is this gonna be? Just a bunch of losers constantly saying, "Oh no, don't be happy about Silksong." Is that it? Because that's probably it. I'm not gonna lie.
Metroidvania than Silksong, which I originally thought, and the response was the same thing. Do what you think is fair.
Oh my god. Anyone who says this is a bad thing is clearly not out for the consumer's best interest. That's just the reality of things. Anyway, 10 out of 10, what can I say? That was, as always, come on, Legacy Killer HD. Anyway, 10 out of 10. Bye!